Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, a citizen of the universe and a passage keeper and mentor for our new Earth children. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality, and it is meant to embody deeper trust and ways into solid self-love and fearless integrity. Our new world energy of spirit babies needs us to consciously create within conception, trust pregnancy, and have freedom to birth and parent from innate wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome to episode 249, July 2026, Fungi for Fertility, letting nature nourish you from fertility into parenthood. What ways can fungi heal your body? What are the hot popular mushrooms that are creating real change for health? How can you support detoxing for family creation? What about herbs and the ones that get results? I have my special guest here and I'm so excited, Willis.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
And why I'm excited is because he is in Bend. I always tell people like how I met, like what does this look like? And he shares and sells things that I absolutely love. And not just that, his energy. And you're going to see the energy he brings here and the insights and the healing. And I think one of the first remedies or elixirs, we'll call them, could have been the liver or the oils you sell. And I was just sold. And now, you opened up a shop, which is amazing in Bend, Oregon. And then there was more conversations. And then I'm like, come on my podcast, please. Let's talk about fungi because I started learning about mushrooms many years ago and I'm obsessed. And we want to see, I have a lot of questions, of course, on fertility, parenthood, detoxing, all that good stuff. And before I do that, though, I'm going to just share who you are. I want to share who you are. Willis, the heart and founder of the Loving Fungi, Willis has been on a relentless quest to find the truth behind how our bodies work and interact with the intelligence of plants and fungi. This has led him to stepping into this role as an alchemist, serving humanity through the pursuit of health in everything he creates. He yearns to share this developed wisdom. He has realized that in order to help as many people as you can, he must know the pain and joy of the world. For one cannot teach the one that does not know inherently through direct lived experiences. The loving fungi was born through this passion, curiosity, and devotion. As a self proclaimed mushroom wizard, he has dedicated his life to the re education and healing of our local community in Bend, Oregon, and at large. Through a lifetime of adventure in the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual realms, he has channeled and built an ideal for optimized human living. Willis shares these ideas through every formula he crafts, a community forum, and in one-on-one consult sessions with clients. And I want to add, you can get these, you ship them all around the world. Is this true? Like your remedies and stuff?
Yes, we do worldwide. Yeah.
Perfect. So, again, it's so awesome to have you here. And we were just talking way a lot of really cool stuff right before. I was like, we got to get this going. Let's get this conversation going. And
We
so
already talked for an hour, I think.
I know I want to know, like really straight off the bat, there's a few things I want to know. I'm saying fungi, mushrooms. What led you into that, first of all? Like what were you like, hey,
Oh, gosh, long story. Do I start at the weird stuff in my
give us a
childhood?
clip art version or clip,
Yeah.
what do you, cliff
Yeah.
note?
So it must have been about 10 years ago. I was hanging out with my good friend Chris, and he was like, come out, come picking with me. Let's go to the woods. And yeah, I went out and we were picking chanterelles. And so the edible, and I was just fascinated by it, finding them, the joy, the dopamine rush. And then shortly after that, it was like, he was like, oh, do you know that some of these are medicinal too? And I was like, are you kidding me? And so I've always been on like this journey of like self exploration and health. And when I found that out, it was just like, whoa. And there was so much information. And I just was deep diving into it. Every single book, every single video that I could take in, and then it came to the point where I was like, oh, I can make these things. And
Wow.
yeah, started making different medicines. I was having like amazing experiences with them. Couldn't stop talking about this stuff. It was probably pretty annoying to most of my friends. Um,
I know that feeling because it's so exciting. Yeah.
well, when you're so passionate about something, it's,
Yeah.
it takes over your life. And so, yeah, I dove right in, and the real shift for me was when other people were coming to me, they were finding me because of me blabbing so much about it. And then they started having like these amazing experiences through the medicine. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is all I want to do. Yeah. But
And then also included in that is, of course, like the herbs, the herbal support. Did that come later? Is that something you've always been connected with?
yeah, always connected with, my mom, I guess, is an herbalist in her own way. I grew up with a garden. I was taking echinacea, which we found out I was allergic to pretty quickly, and other medicines like that ever since I was a young child. And so those were things that I would always reach for. I had that intelligence in me. And then it opened back up, when I started exploring fungi, and I was like, wow, but all of this is available. There's no limited window that I was looking through. And so, yeah, it was kind of like this reintroduction to plants that, which are my happy place too, like the woods. That's peace. That's where I get downloads. That's my church. And it just made sense to understand, well, what are their names? What do they do? What's their energy? Let's sit with
Mm,
and listen. Like the curanderos of Mexico, they understand that everything has a mechanic and a spirit to it. And when they sit with or do a dieta with a specific plant for a while, they receive the intelligence, the vibration, and even the song, right?
I
Yeah,
love that.
I was kind of doing that my own way, not knowing any of that, but just diving in. Yeah.
And then you took a chance. You were like, okay, I'm gonna start to share these with the community.
Yeah, that was big. It's Terrence McKenna's quote, I'm going to slaughter it, but it's something about standing at the edge of a waterfall and understanding that like all the gurus, understood the same thing, is that it's about jumping off and trusting and knowing that at the bottom there's a feather bed. And
Mm,
the big shift for me was I was blabbing a lot about different like STDs and stuff like that and how mushrooms could help. And I ended up meeting a gentleman and he was like, hey, I want to work with you. I was like, okay. And so worked with him with nutritional guidance, a whole gamut of like mushroom medicines. And then he was also on a personal level, because nothing's just physical, working on his emotional connection to his sister, who he hadn't spoken to in 8 years. And so with that whole, regimen going on, he was able to move out of the state where he was getting these flare-ups like once a week to like none at all in 2 months.
wow.
And he was like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "Wow, this is it." Like I don't care what happens, and like jumping out of that plane, that safe plane of like, oh, I'm being paid by someone else and I have a regular paycheck, into no, I'm gonna do this. And if it doesn't work out, I don't care, because I know what I'm doing is helping others, which fills me up as well. And just ran with it. And I haven't looked back, and I've been fully supported by this community in Bend, which I'm extremely grateful for. Like I wouldn't be here without all the beautiful people that
Mm.
exist in this town. Yeah.
I really appreciate what you said about, so it's like, here's the remedy, but where's the emotional energy in that? It's like, especially with something, from my own medical intuitive perspective, I have different ideas of sicknesses, diseases, pathogens. And, you shared like, oh, the sister relationship was super, a part of it. And I love like the idea, like how these kind of elixirs or herbs, they to me give you that earth energy, but you have to do the work, right? It's like
That's
maybe
it.
it even gives space. Like I love ashwagandha. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I said it wrong for so long. And I like that. I don't take it all the time, but I feel like it allows my energy to be a little bit more still
Hmm.
in a way where if there are stuff, I'm like, I have to also work with those things.
Yeah.
And as I say that, I I met this woman the other day at like local acres, and this woman was really great. And I wrote a little short story about it because she was just such a beautiful souled woman. And she saw that I was getting this ashwagandha tea. And I was just I love trying stuff out. So I'm like, oh, and it had this little mushroom stuff in it. So I'm like, ooh, a good combo. And she was like, oh, and she said it and looked at me and she says, my son took this, but he's more depressed because of it. I said to her, wow, I've never heard that one before. I said, maybe the ashwagandha calmed him down to see what was already there.
There it is, and maybe these on a very base level are technologies, that hold separate vibrations
Mhm.
and teachings. And when we put them in our body, it's like, wow, you're brewing tea. That's witchcraft in some ways. You're taking the spirit, the essence of a plant into a liquid, which is easily transferable into our cells, into your body.
Yeah.
And then you're getting the download, you're getting their song, you're getting the information. And so maybe these plants and mushrooms each have their own, lesson and teaching that we can take into our bodies and into our emotional and spiritual bodies too, so we can access that. Because what we're looking at is like trying to bring us always into this state of balance, right? And
Mm,
if anything's out of balance, like it's going to show up in symptoms, which
mm.
the ones that are really popular that we know about are like anxiety, depression, these broad terms. Or like the last line of defense could be they become physical, right? It's like when something becomes physical, it's like you're not moving and shaking in the world. You're forced to kind of sit down, look at your life,
Yes.
your mortality, your relationship to your family, your notions of self-worth. It's all there. It slows us down out of this American life and like, oof, like what's real, you know? And then, and I've seen miraculous things from this. Like people have to stop. They have to do that emotional work that they weren't taught to do. They weren't encouraged
Yes.
to do it, right? Like we're encouraged to numb everything with sex and
See,
drugs.
that's true. Nobody's encouraged.
That's right. And so the people we stumble into these things because the lineage has been broken, it's been stifled, it's been erased, right? And so many people fall into just like either by chance or by deep research and like messing up a bunch of times
Yeah.
into these understandings of like, oh, this is connected, that we're not just physical beings. Western medical, they're great at cutting stuff out, but beyond that, like they believe that the body is a machine. And so we're
Yes.
like the whole spectrum of life that we came here to be as humans. And so the way like these things scream out at us is first mental and emotional and on the spiritual side. And if we don't listen to those, then it's physical. I mean, that's my take at least.
I like how you said you like stumble into it. You're like tripping into this, like, what is this? This support, this, but I hope that we're getting more connected and aware that that conventional, I don't know why they call it conventional. They make it sound like it's the thing to go to and nothing else exists. But the Western model is, I feel like it's being deprogrammed, or
Mm.
people are hopefully getting more wiser to
Mhm.
question, because I work with a lot of infertility.
Mm.
And there's a lot of intervention that women have to go through, especially not so much the men. It depends on the situation. And some I'm seeing like really, it's like you said, it's like a cut and band-aid, or it's like but it doesn't get to the root cause. And I kind of want to, I'm curious because I don't really know. Fertility, like if I say fertility for men and women, what comes to your mind for like fungus support, like mushroom support, herbs? Like what is the first thing you kind of go into? And I know it's like everybody's different, but just in general, is there a general?
Yeah, I don't think there really is a general anymore. We
Okay.
have to look at uh really like modern day poisons and then our
Okay.
modern day food system and like what is necessary to create a baby. Outside of that too is like the emotional and mental traumas and connections to our own mother and father, to our own childhood. These things are undoubtedly going to come up. And some of those things I've seen in community have kept people from, you know, being fertile. And so it's a very big question, and I don't think we can really even navigate into like, well, what are the toxins? What are keeping people from
Yeah.
getting pregnant without talking about the 10 million pound elephant in the room with the jabs that rolled out
Yeah.
in 2020. We saw a massive increase in infertility and miscarriages. We're talking near,
Yes, I know. I saw that.
yeah, around 300%. And that's worldwide. And so really it's about like, well, if any of your listeners have received these things, and there's no judgment around this, there's only compassion. I've had so many interactions with clients where they feel so much shame and guilt, and they have nowhere to go because Western medical doesn't have an answer for what happened. They can't share their experiences online because there's, just judgment and, there's such energy around this. It's so high, there's no conversation allowed, right? And so then where can they go? And so my heart like breaks for them, right? And so, when it comes to those specific poisons, it's really like understanding like, well, what was in them and what happened. Because I think that that's a really important to discuss. If 70% of people receive these things and they're trying to get pregnant, like cleansing that is super important, right? That's the
Mm,
first step. And I think it's good for everybody to understand like the detoxing that's necessary because there's actually a group in town. They're checking the blood of people, everybody, whether they
yeah.
jabbed or not, and everybody has the same stuff in them all of a sudden.
Yeah, I heard, I know.
And so that's like, whoa, right? And so what is it? There's so many things. Like the main things I would say would be parasites, organic and inorganic, which is creepy. Metals, the graphene, spike proteins, and then we got to talk about DNA because the mRNA stuff, like, yeah, that may have changed people's DNA and how their immune system even kind of starts to attack themselves.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a big spectrum. I can start anywhere you want.
No, I know, because I'm thinking, because I feel like, there's so many trends, right? We
Yeah,
see things, and I've even had friends like, look, Kelly, I just bought this, and it's like, it's such an exciting. I'm like, but what is it? Is it even clean? Is it, I don't know enough about it. And it's like, I've also, and I'm gonna say it, and people know me, like, people say, oh, but I trust my intuition. I've seen people think it's intuition, but it's fear.
yeah,
And I have really good examples of that where I've saw where there was a situation with a friend and she's like, "Oh, my intuition." And I'm thinking, "No, that's your fear." And
yeah.
then it ended up not being good. And then it shifted into where her intuition really was. But again, I say that with compassion because and I'm going to push people like, is it fear? Is it intuition? Because, and then like when your intuition hits, sometimes it changes. Like you may feel like you said something before about being allergic to or having a reaction to echinacea.
Yeah.
And I know my friend's listening to this now. She will listen to this when it comes out. In her session, that came up. I heard ragweed in her digestion and it was affecting her brain, but it didn't feel positive to me. And
Hmm.
that's confusing.
Hmm.
And so it was very confusing because no, I'm taking this good herb, it's good for me. And then I later did some deep research and sent it to her where it said ragweed, because that's how it was being revealed to me. And echinacea are like this almost the same thing. And so we always think like, well, maybe this is good for me, but maybe not for your body in that moment, right?
Right, and that's the thing, this whole maybe. Well, if it's a maybe,
Yeah.
the intuition will, are you really listening? And so the
Yeah.
great question is like, how do we find our highest yes and no? How do we connect to that intuition on the regular? And so, I use and I teach a format of muscle testing, body testing. And, if you've been to acupuncture, Chinese herbalists, or even some chiropractors use it, they'll put your arm out and they'll push it down for certain elements that they want to recommend for you to see if it's a yes or no for your body. And I mean, this has been used in Chinese herbalism for like 1,000 years, so kind of
Mm.
new to us in the West. But
Yeah.
I don't know of a greater way to access that intelligence, right? And so the format of muscle testing I use is I stand up and I kind of tap a meridian, come into presence. Like the heart is a great one, right? And then I hold whatever that element is, just like capsules. And I hold it at my heart, just standing up, and I go, hey, are these for me right now? Right. And then I bring them down to about 2 inches below my belly button center, which in Qigong, this is our Dantian, so life force energy center. In many cultures, this is considered our second mind. We have hundreds of thousands of neurons here that fire independently of the mind. And in the West, we call it the gut feeling. And so we're all talking about it. So yeah, asking at the heart, holding it 2 inches in front of that center, my belly's either going to move towards that thing or away from it, right? And so if my belly moves towards it, that's a yes. If it moves away from it, it's a no.
Mm.
That's where I get on my day, right? And so the more we use these things, the stronger they get. So it's like you want big muscles, well, go to the gym for 3 to 5 times a week. you want to improve your intuition and your connection to your body and the all that is, well, then you practice this too. And so you can whisper questions into your hand, you can hold food at the fridge, and this gets extremely visceral. And what this
Mm.
is doing is it's empowering us, right? So that we don't have to ask anybody outside of ourselves to know the intelligence of our body. And it's like this thing too. It's like, hey, there seems to be this intelligence that permeates all things, right? How are you connecting to it? By setting this up as like a method, we're going, hey, higher self, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. We're going, hey, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to do it in this way. And this is how I want you to respond to me. And you better believe you get a response. And that is so powerful, right? And it's moving ourselves, our mind out of the driver's seat and into the passenger seat. And then we're listening and connecting to something higher than our mind, right? And so if you want that type of life where it's synchronicity, flow, right place, right time, and listening to the intelligence of your body, then you got to practice it too. You got to put in the effort, right?
Yeah, what you're saying, I call is we're our own health intuitive is kind of a
Yeah.
term I keep throwing around in this past years. And
Yeah.
we do have to advocate for ourselves. And I just really love like how you answered that because yeah, there's no one size fits all. It's like, and I know we're always looking for that. Like, give me, just say it. But and I also want to give love and connection. That you know what, you're gonna fuck up. You're not gonna feel like you're intuitive all the time. You're tired. You're sick. You're gonna be all over the place. But that's okay too. I feel like, right? It's like that's
Sure.
where we don't give permission. It's like there are, yeah, and what you said to me remind me of just being an energy sensitive being, like just being able to tune in and you get into a rhythm with it.
You
Like
do.
I really do trust my intuition, but there are days where not that I don't trust it, but I feel off. And
Mm.
I just acknowledge the off and I go, okay, I'm just off right now. Maybe I just need to lay down or walk outside and just feel like I feel like we're in a culture of like, no, I can't feel bad. I
Yeah.
can't feel off. Like I have to go fix it. But we're not just reacting to our environment of relationship, but it's like the cosmos, the consciousness is like we're going to feel a lot of stuff, I feel like. And I think that most people are doing the best they can, at least the people I know that come into my space.
Oh, for sure.
Um, but also coming back to fertility. So I guess you can say that was the best answer because you're not like, oh, you got to take this, this, and this, right?
No, and so
Because let's
that's
say your liver is shitty, or like maybe you have like a thyroid thing, it's gonna be different. Um, but I feel like there's trends in health. And I don't know if it's real science or if it's just ideas. Like everybody's getting, is it the GLPs? That's what they call them. And people are like
oh, the
enchanted.
peptides.
But yeah, they're enchanted. I'm not sure I'm saying it right. GPLs? Is it G? I'm a little, remember, I'm dyslexic, so I go back and forth with letters.
I think
Anyways, yeah,
it's
the
GLP.
metabolism thing, and everybody's like obsessed. And even in fertility, I see fertility trends. Like years ago, it was all about the woman has the bad egg. She has the bad egg. She has the bad egg. And here's what they didn't realize, and what I've learned is they can't see the egg unless they actually do exploratory surgery and take out a follicle or an egg. So
Yeah.
by saying that, but it really stressed women out. And guess what the stress does to the egg?
Oh, sure. It's insane. Yeah. The
And so
chicken
this has
with that.
become, yeah, but now the trend now is metabolism. And I'm not saying that there isn't an issue, especially in America, maybe with weight and food. And we do know the food's toxic. So what are we supposed to do when we're having toxic food and our bodies are going to be metabolismly reacted? That's my own word, metabolismally reactive.
Nice.
Um, and I think about men's health too. I think that's important too, because the sperm health, I've noticed in the past 6 years, for many reasons, that sperm health with even unjabbed men, I've noticed, because I've worked with all kinds of men, not just women and couples, but I've worked one-on-one with men, is that sperm is either if it's deformed or off, that's something different, but the mobility has slowed down. It's like the sperm, there's just they can't get to where they need to get to, and it's very interesting to like this has been big, and I do feel like it's technology too. We've never had EMFs in our pockets before.
Bingo.
Let's
Big
talk
time.
about that because you in Instagram you posted that room and I was like blown away. Tell us about that room.
Oh yeah. So we have our treatment room is kind of like a giant Faraday cage. And so we've used an EMF protective paint underneath the pretty color that we see here, and then a copper rod that grounds it into the ground. And so the walls, the ceiling, and we have a window treatment too, are keeping out the 250 towers that are in Bend. And we
Mm.
also have a little Schumann resonance device. And what that is, it just puts out the healing frequencies of the earth that, are amazing for plant and human life and animals alike. And so, yeah, when you're in there, I mean, I've had a few people just burst into tears. Like they didn't know that they could feel like that. But it feels like you're deep in the forest, without your cell phone for like 2 weeks. That's
Wow. So good. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And so these things are the silent killer, right? It's
Mm.
like they looked at like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and that frequency it shows up as the same frequency as fear shows up.
Interesting.
So,
Wow.
I don't know why. I guess you'll never really get an answer to that, but it's like these are things that are really important to learn to mitigate in your home.
Mm.
There's different ways without like putting Ethernet through your walls or whatever to protect your spaces. Blue Shield is a really good company. They make these EMF devices that put out the Schumann frequency of the earth that you can plug into your home,
Mm.
making sure as much as you can, if you're using Wi-Fi, to turn it off as often as you can. Always in your settings, having the Bluetooth off and the Wi-Fi off on your phone. If
I
you're not,
just found out about that.
yeah, if you're just
Someone,
open the
my,
window, it's
yeah,
not.
I had no idea. And I did have my Bluetooth. I had no idea because I could be very like, I don't know what this thing is. I don't know what this phone does. Yeah, someone was just telling me that. And I was like, I don't know. Well, mine was on all the time. Like,
Oh,
I had
yeah.
no,
And so that
yeah,
frequency is, I mean, it's sickness. The 5G is definitely a thing. They're testing this with plants. They're dying right next to it. They're healthy
yeah.
without it. It just makes sense. Like we are electromagnetic walking bags of seawater in some sense. And so all of these,
That-
electro being the masculine, magnetic being the feminine
mm,
polarities inside all of us, like it's messing with us. And so fertility, absolutely.
mm.
So get these things out of your pocket. Like I use it's kind of like a Faraday bag sling, but from Slant, where you can put your phone in there, and this silver stuff is in between you and your phone. And so none of that is hitting your body. I would say that'd be a great place to start. Guys are carrying these around their pocket right next to there you go. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can see the video, I have Faraday fabric. It's literally on my lap because,
You can feel the difference, and as we continue to resensitize as a being, right? These things, I mean, so I have friends that can't even walk around these things. They've
yeah,
done so much detoxing and they just run sensitive anyways, and I feel for them. They can't really be a part of this modern society.
yeah.
They don't really want to anyways.
That's why I question like when those big electro towers, like those, like, no, what do you call them? Like the power centers, because we have power centers. I literally drive by them and I have to like, I feel like my whole body tights up and I hold my breath
you
because
can
I'm
feel it.
like, yeah. And then I'm going, how do these people live there?
Not for
I don't
very
know how they
long.
do it.
Yeah, not for
I
very
don't know
long.
how they do it. And there's a tea place not too far from me on Southeast, and they have one right next to the building. And I was like, it just drives me crazy. I'm like, yeah, like how how do people go hang out here?
Yeah,
Like I
that's
won't go over there because I'm like that. And here's the thing. I know people are like, "Oh, well, it's just whatever. Electricity is just there and that's fine. If people are going to live in cities, they're going to do things, but it really gives off a certain frequency. And, I always tell people like I don't control that. I'm not saying that to judge that sometimes people have to live by these power grids, but it's also there's something there.
yes.
It's not like fake. It's not like new age. It's just science.
For sure. And you can feel it like in the room, for example, the
Yeah.
treatment room, it's noticeable. I wouldn't recommend a type of Faraday cage for people's entire home.
Mm,
I think that's something we did a lot of research on. Like if you're going to bring any type of cell phone inside a Faraday cage, it's just going to bounce off the walls and hit you anyways. So it would have to be a space that was dedicated like your bedroom where you didn't have any technology in it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know that too. Like, yes, you can protect certain walls that are facing towers, and you can find that. That there's a lot of maps online that you can use. Blue Shield has it on their website. You can type in your zip
Yeah,
code.
I have a really good example. Maybe you understand this. I haven't really talked about this, but when I got the Faraday fabric years ago, I put it on my head once just to go to sleep. I'm like, what if I just slept with it? And it made my head feel like it hurt.
Yeah.
And what I discovered though, I think this is it because I'm going to get mercuries removed out of my mouth. I still have metals and I
Nice.
have gold in my mouth. And what I realized from a biodentist, I knew it, but he really said it. My mouth is a battery.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people don't understand. Like if I touch metal on things and put it in my mouth, it feels like a 9 volt. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that's not normal. So when
Gosh,
he
you did that when you
confirmed
were a
that,
kid? You ever touch your tongue to one when you were a kid?
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's what it feels like if I get metal and certain things in my mouth. And I'm like, it's my husband's like, what? That's so weird. And I'm like, yeah, this is not good. My brain is like, and I wonder if the Faraday fabric like wasn't good because of that.
Maybe, or
I don't know.
there's overdoing stuff too. Like, hey, we
Yeah.
because we're electromagnetic beings, should we really be trying to block out all EMFs? Like, well, no, we're
Yeah.
good EMFs. There's good ones, and just
Good
being around
point.
other people, hugging them,
Yeah.
we're transferring that energy. It's beautiful. So, yeah, yeah, it's a fine line. Like, and again, like you talked about fear earlier. Like, are you doing this out of fear? Are you making decisions out of fear?
Yes.
Are you listening to your highest yes because it's like, no, this is out of care and like this is
Yeah.
care for my family and this is understanding and mitigating what I can in my home, or in my car or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm always checking in with that too. It's like
That's
the
a hard one because, again, coming back to fear and intuition, that some people will feel like I do believe we make a lot of decisions out of fear,
oh yeah. Oh, yeah,
like tons. Yeah.
based on old traumas too.
And I say, I like to give permission to people at times and go, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, we do. We make things on fear. And I think if we admit it, I think there's a healing piece to that.
For sure.
Like if
And
I'm
I'm
like if I'm being super, let's say with my kids, right? As a mother, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't want you to." I actually will say to my kid, "I don't want you to do this because I have fear."
yeah.
And I was like, I wish my parents told me that stuff. And then
Yeah.
it's like it's understood. Like, but then I know that especially my 15-year-old who's like is very adventurous, I have to be okay with being uncomfortable with him exploring the world in his body too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But the important thing that you said is like, I don't want you to do this because I have fear, taking responsibility, letting them know that like, hey, I'm experiencing fear right now. That's like extremely healthy communication. You're teaching them like, hey, I don't want you to do this. You still can, and understand that I feel fear about this, and or even how do you feel about it? It's like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
opens up a real like opportunity for connection and healing too
yeah.
between people. Yeah.
Well, now I'm like, So fertility, we talk about a little bit here. Yeah, there's the EMFs. We talk, like the different remedies, and I know they're so individual, unique. What about pregnancy? Do you get women in pregnancy coming in asking? And I know there's probably very specific things that they can't do, or I know also like you can't say, but I just want to know, do pregnant women come in, mothers, do they come
Oh,
in
for
and
sure.
shop?
And there's a lot of it is mitigating the roller coaster of emotions, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anxiety and all of the things that are coming up with motherhood. And not having a lot of options and not wanting to take anything that's over the counter, or like prescribed by a doctor. And so, the big thing that there is some research on that has been, studied and women have done well with is simply reishi, drinking that in
Oh,
a tea. And so there's these reishi babies, they're calling them. They're coming
I
out
love that.
pretty
Tell
shocking.
everybody what reishi is.
Yeah, reishi is a mushroom that's it's the mushroom of immortality in Chinese herbalism, and works really well, excuse me, with the nervous system, gut health, liver, kidney, gallbladder, and it's a helps with immune response. Um, yeah, so it's a lovely calming energy too. So you can drink this in a tea and help massage the nervous system a little bit. And so then these babies are being born pretty chill and not not really not big criers or screamers. And take that as you will. I don't know if
I
that's
love that though.
yeah, and
I
so
want a mushroom baby.
yeah, so raise your babies,
How great is that? I wish I knew about mushrooms back 15 years ago, but I don't think people were really talking about it unless you went to a Chinese herbal. But now, so there's a whole boom with the mushrooms, right? With fungus and
correct.
what can you say about that? Like, what are your, how about we should, maybe I should ask you, what are your like top favorite mushrooms to take for your own health? Like,
Oh gosh, well, you
so
understand.
many, right? I
I'm
know.
so it's whatever it is
Because
that
I
day.
know for me, let me say for me, from my perspective, I love powdered chaga. I love mixing that with some honey. Or I do like the powders because I make these creamy drinks from them. And I do like a little lion's mane in there, and chaga is probably my favorite, to be honest. And I'll do a cordyceps and turkey tail, but I found turkey tail to be very strong, like almost like bouillon cube strong, like it's almost savory.
Yeah, but like a bitter savor. Yeah, that one's got a potent flavor. Yeah, all are great, all for different reasons. They all have immunoregulating and adaptogenic properties that help us adapt to life. And sometimes that's more emotional stuff. Sometimes that's more cognitive stuff or gut health. So just kind of understanding like the basics of them, like lion's mane gut health and cognition, creating new cell growth where neurons are firing, which is your whole body actually, not just your brain. Cordyceps, amazing for lung health and stamina. Chaga, which is an amazing thing if you have high blood pressure and cholesterol, but I would really stay away from like what they're calling high cholesterol nowadays because the numbers they're using were normal for high, 50 years ago. And so your brain is made of cholesterol. And so these people are
Mm,
getting on these statins and other things, and they're
yeah.
becoming getting Alzheimer's and dementia because
Wow.
the brain's made of cholesterol. So it's still
Mm.
amazing for like blood and circulatory and liver and kidneys. Turkey tail, amazing for women. It has like the most I don't like saying anti-cancer, anti-whatever anymore, just like pro-balance in throughout the body. But women in particular, breast and cervical with turkey tail. Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
was
And
I was reading this great book. I forgot the name of it, and I got it years ago, and I was just so like, wow, like they did this study, or maybe it was one person, I don't remember, but they literally injected a high solution of turkey tail into cancer, and it like went away. And I'm going, oh my gosh, like this beautiful, like for me, when I connect with fungus, they're not a fruit, they're not a vegetable, they're this other thing. And I know and I know you're the same, like when I am hiking through, I'm sometimes like, I'm hiking in my head, thinking about things. And then I just stop. I feel something different. And then
oh,
I turn and I'm like, something's saying something to me. I'm very aware of that. And I just go, oh, and that's how I find like these crops of fungus a lot of times, whether they're super old and dried out or edible. I'm starting to recognize the edibles and I'm trusting them. Like, I'm also like, sometimes I don't like, I told you, I don't like a lot of these forage mushrooms. I don't know why. Like, and I'm like, okay, that's okay. You don't have to like every mushroom, but I do love the powders and making these beautiful like concoctions. And,
super fun.
what you said about I love that you're sharing these little pieces about these fungus because we see so many things about it. And that turkey tail, yeah, I've heard a lot of really amazing things. And plus, I know when I lived in California, when I first found my first turkey tail, I was so excited. And it was by my mushroom teacher, who's very big over there in Topanga. And I felt like, and he does like cooking and stuff. His name is Brander. I'm going to say his name. And it just really, it was amazing because I learned so much from him on just foraging and learning. And the way watching his own spirit connect with the mushroom was really the huge, bigger lesson, to be honest. And the way his energy like really understood that. And for me, I was like, yeah, I want to connect and trust it because here's what I hear from a lot of people. still to today. Don't touch that mushroom. It's poisonous.
Oh yeah, the fear. Can't even
Like
touch.
just touching it? Yes, touching it.
Nothing, no. So just for everybody, there's nothing in the mushroom realm that can kill you by touching it, you know?
Thank you. Let's say that again. Say it
There's
again, everybody.
nothing in the
Listen.
mushroom realm that can kill you by touching it. If you put it in your mouth and chew it up and swallow it, that's a whole different thing. And these things, the white destroying angel, great name, it destroys your liver from the inside. It's a terrible way to die. I wouldn't choose that. But yeah, I think what you're speaking to as well is this intelligence, right? Because mushrooms do live in their own world, and they're also more closely related to us than we are to plants.
Oh,
And so
wow.
the things that affect mushrooms, like molds, funguses, whatever, bacteria, they build up these like what we would call antibodies in ourselves. And then when we ingest them, we aren't just taking the spirit and the energy, but we're getting these beneficial compounds that like help protect us in some ways,
Mm.
right? Or help bring us to balance internally. And so, yeah, it's a fascinating it's a fascinating world when you start getting into it too. Like the energy of them, like, oh, they are the decomposers of everything that's dying. They create new minerals and nutrients, and the soils are rich so that we can have forests and vegetation and all these things. They make connections inside of our body, like a mycelial network, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere we have neurons, right? It's that they clean our body. They push things out, right? The same thing that they're doing in the forest is like cleansing.
Mm.
Yeah, and then they do have an intelligence. Like there can be they can be kind of sneaky, like connected to the Davic realm of like fairies and like gnomes and stuff like that. And this goes through, goes past like centuries of like cultures speaking of these things, right? The Celtic
Yeah.
Druids and the little people in the Amazons. Like it has like this kind of like sneaky trickster coyote energy to it, which I love. I think it's very clever,
Yeah.
and so is out that thing too, like when you're out like looking for them. So say it's like a choice edible. Well, if your whole goal is like, I'm gonna find them and you're very in your head, like you're not gonna find anything. Like there's a certain level
I
of
told you that we found morels and we found king spring bolete porcini like by accident.
yes.
And then we started going more and looking. And then I started to learn. Because I was learning it for years and I'm super, super amateur. I'm no expert. But I was also like, oh, the bolete likes to be near the morels, likes to be, what are these things? And saw my first, is it coral maybe? They're kind of
Yeah.
underground a little and probably dried up. But I was so excited. I was like, oh, I never saw that before. And then there was a fourth one, and I was like, oh, they all like each other. This is my brain. They all like each other. That means they probably grow near each other. So then, of course, I started researching, and when they're because I was looking for morels, right? And so I was like, oh, this is their climate. And there's certain climates that they like and elevation, and I'm like, that's really interesting.
And trees.
And
And that can
and
connect
look,
you to like the trees and the vegetation.
yes, and I was looking at the trees too. I was like, oh, what is this pine? And
Uh-huh.
what is the earth? And oh, there's water close by. I'm like, trying to like, I even saw one was chewed up and I could see where these little chipmunks. I was like, oh, they're eating that bolete right there.
Oh, they
I'm
love
like,
them.
oh yeah. I was like, oh, there's little chew marks in there. And that was really cool to see. And my 9-year-old, we're always learning about it and it's fun for him too. And you know what he says to me, and maybe you can make this happen for us, Willis. Is he wants to see the Amanita muscara. Is that what you call it? I call it
Yeah.
the Alice in Wonderland mushroom. He
Yeah.
wants to see one in real life, and so do I. We don't want to forage them, we want to see them. And so I'm like, that could be fun, a quest that maybe you can direct me to just to see and just, again, look at here's the picture, this little guy.
Yep. Yep. The
That one. And I
iconic.
thought, yeah, I call it the iconic Alice in Wonderland mushroom. And then I saw a yellow one for the first time up by the lake.
Oh yeah, stay away from those.
No, I know they're no good, but I saw it and I was excited. I was like, oh, I didn't even know much about it, and I didn't pull it out or anything because I know it's okay to pull it, but I'm not like going around pulling stuff out. But I found it and I was like, oh, this is one I've never seen before. And that's so exciting. Like, oh, I've
Yeah, it
never
is.
seen that one. But that one is poisonous, right? I think
Yeah,
so.
that's likely the Panther Amanita, which has an interesting psychoactive effect where it puts people into a biofeedback loop of psychosis
Whoa.
where they'll just do the same thing over and over again for
Wow.
hours and not be able to get
Whoa.
out.
You're like, I've done that now.
For stories, I mean, there's even a biker
Right.
in Oregon who ate him, and he was going up on this. It wasn't a big bridge, but was jumping off into the water, and then going back up and doing it again. Well, the water wasn't that deep, and so he was hurting himself.
Oh,
And
shoot. Wow.
yeah, it was a crazy
I mean,
thing.
but that's the risk that that person took, like, knowing like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
or you're going to take this. And I know what I've learned from the mushroom people like you, that if you're going to use Amanita muscaria, you're doing it consciously and you're very aware of what you're extracting. And that's what I tell people. Like, I always tell people there's poisonous, non-poisonous. No, I say there's edible, non-edible, and poisonous.
yeah.
Because I feel like, yes, there's edibles, but there's non-edibles that you could probably get a little digestion or not sure. And I'm not saying go out and eat all these random mushrooms. Definitely be aware. And then, of course, there's like you said, the death angel. What's it called?
It's it's like a white death cap,
Yeah, that's right. And I've seen that one a lot. And
which is
then
in the Amanita
yeah.
family.
Yeah, yeah. And so of course, if you don't know the mushroom, don't eat it. If you're not sure, but touching them is where we're coming. Touching them is safe and you're
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And
And the
yeah,
Muscaria is steeped in history. You know, it's a lot of people connect it to modern day Santa Claus and the
yeah.
white colors on the tree where they used to hang mushrooms and dry them on the trees and also above fireplaces. And like the shamanic men of Siberia wore the red and white. They would eat the amanita. They would take in the poison as well as the medicine. They would urinate it out, and then they would drink the urine. The people would drink the urine, so that they get
Oh,
their,
wow.
their immunity.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, fascinating. And so, yeah, that they're definitely found in Oregon, on the coast in the fall, right when the first rains start, you can find them there. And sometimes just over the pass on the other side, and they are beautiful. They're antispasmodic, so there is really great medicine in there for people who seizures, or having trouble, like real trouble sleeping. But there's other medicines for sleep in Oregon that are even more potent without the dangerous like muscarine. Like this needs to be extracted properly so that you're not damaging your liver when it comes to Amanita muscaria.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
It's something like the medicine that I work with is called Pedicularis densiflora. It's a saprophytic plant and it grows only in Southern Oregon. And the natives would seek this one out for like dreamtime ceremony. They would smoke it to get into what we would call a lucid dreaming state, where they'd receive messages. It was an important part of their culture. In tincture form, how we make it, and this Indian warrior is the common name. What it does for people is it's a strong muscle relaxer and sedative. It works on the fine muscle tissue, the spinal column, the neck to release, and then knocks people out. And I don't know any
Mm.
other medicine greater than that for sleep, for nerve pain and damage. It can actually help you in the daytime from the night before. You don't want to take it in the day because it is a strong muscle relaxer and sedative.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a fantastic medicine. Folks and clients that have had back surgeries or insomniacs have used this to find peace in the evening successfully.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then it makes you say all this. It's like, oh my gosh, why aren't we just using all these things to help people heal more than just, all right, let's take your anti-anxiety pill or let's take your opium, morphine, or not morphine, what is OxyContin, or it's like, and you hear this and you go, whoa, like maybe that's your mission though. It's like bringing it more into the thought space and the minds. And so you've worked with people that have had, like you said, I think like really big chronic issues and
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, with a one-on-one consult, like it's whatever comes up. So it's been a wide range of things, and also understanding like these pharmaceuticals, 90% of them are derived from mushrooms and plants. And so why aren't we just going to the source, right? Why are we feeding a system that benefits on us staying sick? It's like you take this one compound out of this balanced system, you expand that, you put that in someone's mouth, and then here's the list of side effects because this is an unbalanced medicine. And then it's also like the energy of like who is making this stuff in your
mm,
mouth. It's like, why does soul food taste good? Well, these women are singing over it and there's love being poured into it. And so that comes down to like also like your supplements and your food and all of that. Like, boy, who's doing that?
I
You know,
know.
we
Yeah.
make everything by hand with like great love. There's joy that happens in here. Like there's intention in everything that we do. And you can feel that when you put it in your body, you know? Aside from that, like we also have, I believe, the greatest integrity that we can have with these and reverence with these mushrooms and plants. You know, there's a lot of companies out there that are using myceliated rice grain or oats, which is just, it's garbage. You know, it's a way to make money off of
Yeah.
people and not actually grow a mushroom and then use millions of dollars worth of machinery to extract that fruiting body down to a water soluble element that's the most bioactive and bioavailable medicine that you can get from a mushroom. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know, I just went on a
Well,
little.
but I've told people, like I've had friends years ago and they said, I said, not all mushrooms are the same. They're like, well, I bought this mushroom at Whole Foods. And I said, I wouldn't trust the powder. I said, I don't think there's anything in it. I
Mm,
said, because I've brought through certain companies and I learned about the high fruiting bodies. And honestly, for the fruiting bodies, what I've learned, you're going to pay more money and you're
mhm.
not going to get like, a sack of it from Amazon. You're going to get like the most purest quality. And I want to encourage people to do that, is to look at, if they're questioning the mushrooms, I honestly wouldn't buy them at the supermarket. I don't think there's anything. And maybe someone would say, no, Kelly, you're wrong. But I'm going with more actually smaller businesses that are more intimate with the relationship of the mushroom. To me, feels more, there's a connection, I feel like, in that's just more present. So we're up to the end here. I want you to share with everybody ways people can find you.
Oh yeah. So the website is thelovingfungi.com. You can connect with us there. You can get a one-on-one consultation if you want to book that. If you're not in town, I do them on Zoom. And then on Instagram and TikTok, it's at the loving fungi. And then we have an apothecary in Bend, Oregon. We're on 519 Northwest Colorado Avenue. Open 5 days a week, and you can always come by and say hi to me then.
And then your shop, your like apothecary. When did it open?
Yeah, relatively recent. So this was about 6 months ago in December, but it's been a long time coming. And so we've got yeah, our own herbal tea blends. We're importing Chinese pu'ers. We've got crystals and books and art, and then a lot of other medicines that match our ethos, like from PR Labs and Global Healing and Remedy Link, things to structure your water. We can also talk about EMF protection. We have some devices here for that, and then our treatment room with some fantastic practitioners.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Willis. Any final love words to the community that is looking for just better health?
Yeah, it all just kind of starts from within, right? And so, you know, what is and seeking the center point of what the symptom is in your life. And so if something's coming up that is physical, staying curious about that. And like, how is that connecting to maybe the mental and emotional realm? And if it is coming up in the mental emotional realm, like diving into that instead of pushing it down and pushing it away, right? That there's such a, like, we came here for the full human experience, and that's the pain, the sorrow, the grief, and the sadness, as well as the Facebook version of life, the joy and the happy, you know, whatever. Um, and through, accessing the pain, the sorrow, and the grief, and moving through that, being present with it, shifting that, that's where the gem is. And that's how we can show up in front of each other in this full spectrum and be present. And it's like, you want to heal the world, well, then you heal yourself, right? And so I believe that that's the pathway, yeah, for all of us. And so it's just taking responsibility, loving each other and loving ourselves through that process.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here. Such a great conversation.
Thank you, Kelly. This is a real pleasure.
And thank you all for joining episode 249, July 2026, Fungi for Fertility, letting nature nourish you from fertility into parenthood. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly Meehan. Please join my community and stay in touch with monthly energy rants, Spirit Baby poetry, and get access to Spirit Baby 101 with tips and practices at my newsletter at newearthchildren.com. And join me on Instagram with lives at Spirit Baby Medium, and join the Mighty Networks, the Spirit Baby Collective membership, and Motherhood to Mediumship. Remember, you are the heart that holds communication. and it is your time to connect. Come share in the great shift of your mind and the true spirit of your heart with Spirit Baby Communication.